Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Kim Barrett Show. I am your host, Kim Barrett, and on today's episode, we have Mr. Richard Bell. Mr. Richard Bell is the leader of the Business Leaders Group, with a Z, that is, and he's done some phenomenal things. He's helped companies like the Entourage, Fitstop, a range of different companies all over the world grow, scale, expand new markets. He's bought in, he's bought out, he's done a range of different things. And we brought him in today to share some strategies that you should be thinking about as a business owner right now. How do you manage what's going on? How do you look to the future? What should you be doing after we get through this crazy crisis that we're in the midst of at the moment? And he shares a few key takeaways and strategies that he's focusing on for his businesses right now. Now, he's also going to be joining us at our upcoming Mogul Mastermind, which we're doing digitally, because of course we can't meet face to face. So if you want to check out www.mogulmastermind.com.au, be able to see and find out if there's still tickets available. He's coming along to join us. So if you like this episode and you'd love to ask him some specific questions for you, then I'd love to invite you to come along and join us at the Mogul Mastermind. Now, as I said, if you're a business owner who really wants to see how to navigate and then grow through these times, this is the episode that you need to listen to. So without further ado, let's jump into the show. Richard, thank you so much for joining us today. I really appreciate you making the time.
Yeah, not a problem at all. Thank you so much, and looking forward to this chat. Good to catch up.
Yeah, good to have you here. Now, I always like to ask someone a question, the same question every single time on the podcast, which is, if you and I met at a party and we're just chatting away, and I said to you, Richard, what is it that you actually do? What's your go-to answer there?
That always happens, by the way. I got good at practicing it over the years. So effectively, what I do is I run an investment and an advisory firm. So what that means is running an investment and an advisory firm means that we invest and we advise companies all around the world. So Business Leaders Group is the head company. It was founded and managed by me. And we have off the side of that, we obviously have an investment mandate, which is 100% of my own personal funds. So over the last 10 years, we've started, consulted to, exited, capital raised, well over 100 businesses in different sectors, operating in 8 countries around the world. We've got clients in New Zealand, Singapore, Indonesia, Russia, Paris, Macau, and obviously in Australia as well. So that's what we do. 50% of our business is advisory. So that is, people will pay fees for me to sit on their board, restructure their company, give them advice on that next stage of growth. And the other half is companies that we actually own. So the way I like to do it is, I'm a business person who happens to enjoy advisory. So hence why the company has 2 arms to it. Yeah, some of those companies that are ours that we've started or have shareholdings in, companies like the Entourage Education Group, we're the 3rd largest shareholder in that. Fitstop, I co-founded that in January 2017. So that's a fitness franchise. We've now got 80 franchises around the country. Zen Now, which is a tech startup, which is an on-demand mobile massage service. Unfiltered, which was a media company we took from New Zealand and launched that in the US. We exited out of that, a 10 times investment. So there's been a number of different plays, but basically I spend my time building, starting, advising, companies very much in that, I guess, private space, between the sort of 5 mil to 50 mil revenue, I guess, is our comfortable space.
Awesome. I love that. And you've done a lot. For anyone that's listening, and you would have heard in the intro, it's like, you're a pretty young guy to have done all that sort of stuff.
I feel young, but there's some greys maybe creeping in there.
Bit of the silver fox action.
Yeah, creeping in there at the side. And I'm married with 3 kids as well, right? So, for me, I kind of don't feel young. So I suppose it depends on how you define that.
Yeah, no, but I love it. It's a lot of stuff that's happened in a very short, sharp period of time, from what I can see from the outside as well, and been following it along in your journey on social media and watching and whatnot. It's been exciting to see. Now, I have to ask, just from personal curiosity, how come Business Leaders has a Z on the end of it?
I love this. I get this question a lot as well. So for me, I guess I'm a little bit unconventional. I don't believe in, the normal constraints of society. So I guess leaders is just that little bit of, how to say it, breaking the trend or being obnoxious or not fitting in, so I just decided to put a Z on there, just to be a little bit different. I didn't want to be a kind of boring advisory firm that has a corporate office in the city. Very much still that entrepreneurial flair on what I do.
I like it. I was like, when I saw it, I was like, it's just a little bit, to me, a little bit gangster. I like that. Just that little bit, just a little touch.
Yeah, it was just that, just that little bit, just to make sure I don't fall into wearing a suit and tie.
Yeah, no, I love that. Now, at the moment, obviously, so we're recording this in the midst of everything that's been going on, Corona, COVID, whatever everyone wants to call it, and a lot of that is affecting businesses. And we've got you coming in to speak to our guys at the Mogul Mastermind in about the middle of May coming up, which is going to be amazing, and they're all excited for that. But what have you been noticing? And I know you've been doing a lot of content out there for businesses at the moment. What's been some of the things that you've observed that people are either doing well to deal with this crisis in their businesses, and what are some of the things that people are missing or maybe not doing well as well?
Yeah, great question. I think I'll probably start by saying, first of all, hey, let's not be ignorant that this is hurting. It is hurting a lot of people and a lot of businesses, and including my own. So I just want to give a lot of love and respect to people out there who are in business right now, or even in management roles, etc. Massive respect for the stuff that you've been dealing with. I guess my advice that will follow this precursor is not in at all in a way that is kind of judging what you're currently doing or how you're feeling. I think everyone's doing the best job with what they can. But putting that aside, what I will say is, there's a couple of things that I've been noticing, and this is, I guess, on a global scale, in different sectors, whether it's tourism, media, health and wellness, tech. The first thing is, I think we will recover. And I say that from a mindset perspective as well. Like, whether you want to look at the Great Depression, the Black Plague, the GFC, 1919, 1920 Spanish flu, there's been a lot of events in history which have happened, which, for business leaders and the economy and the market and the community and society as a whole has been incredibly devastating. However, what history shows us is that as humans, we are incredibly resilient. We will recover. We will move through this. And I'm talking purely from a commercial standpoint. Some of the best companies and investors have made their money during these times, right? There's a bit of a kind of catch cry, which is money's made and opportunities are born in doom, not boom. And I know that sounds bad, but it's really true. Anyone can make money in an up market. What you do during these times will really determine the future success of your business. So I guess for me, what I'm seeing, and I guess my advice there is, like, once you've kind of dealt with the initial grief or rawness or whatever's gone on for you, if you've lost revenue or chopped staff or whatever you've had to do, start to look at, well, it's pretty good that the government are stepping in and putting together relief packages. But then secondly, in 12 months' time, 24 months' time, whatever time frame, this will not be a thing. Yeah. And I guess the question I'm saying to business owners is, including my own, is what are your plans to come back stronger after this? Don't let this be the thing that ruins your life for the next 30 years, because you will come out of it. You need to come out of it. Society as a whole will adapt. And in 5 years' time, everyone will just go, oh, remember that Corona thing. So it's important to not get stuck in the now and start thinking about the future.
No, I love that. And I mean, obviously that's definitely a huge important thing. And I noticed a lot of people, especially you mentioned some of the ones like the gym and the fitness and health industry, which obviously I know you're in. And I heard Peter speak last year at an event and saw what they were up to, which I was really liked. And I can see, and it's like, you guys aren't taking the foot off the gas. I follow him on Instagram as well, and I see he's looking at new places and new propities and things like that for new locations, because it's got to be done, as you said. After winter comes spring and summer, so businesses have got to move on and have that forward thinking. For people what are you seeing people doing, like just observing, like wrong at the moment though? If obviously I know with your guys you're inspiring them to keep looking to the future and focus, but what are some of the maybe just small things that you've noticed businesses going, you're like, oh, maybe at the moment that's not what you should do?
Great question. I think, I mean, from a FitStop perspective, commercially, we've been in board meetings every couple of days looking at, cash flow forecasts and strategies and, how to maintain through this. But I think probably the most common mistakes that I'm seeing through this period is the first thing is people are too slow to make decisions. People are hanging on to, be it staff or suppliers or whatever it may be and going, oh, maybe it will get better next week. Like, guys, Corona's here. It's going to be crappy for the next 3 to 6 months, maybe even longer. So with the amount of government stimulus and support packages that are there, get ruthless with your business. And I don't mean that in an insensitive sort of way. I just mean, hey, if you've got to cut down some hours, cut down some staff, cut off some suppliers, negotiate with your landlords, get your cash flow organized really quickly, do that, because there's a big thing where you've got to almost put sort of opinions and feelings aside for a minute and just look at logic and go, guys, I want us to have a business for the next 10, 20, 30 years. If we can't protect that asset right now, the show's over. So sure, I can worry about how you feel for the next month or two because I might have to dial down your hours or, you might have to take a holiday from your mortgage or your rent. Like, I get it. That sucks. But what will suck even more is when we get to the end of this and we don't have a company. And there goes the mission, the impact, the vision, everything we're trying to do together. So, the number one thing I'm seeing is people aren't making calls quick enough. Like, cut down, look to dial down. Don't be ignorant and go, no, we're just going to push through this. It's affecting the whole world. You're not pushing through it. Like, you can't leave your house in some places, right? So, and then the second thing is, once you've done that and you've made those adjustments and your cash flow forecast, your strategy's all up to date and your timing is right, then you go, okay, so now we've got our base level of commitment down from a company perspective. What can we do? Because the other thing that I'm seeing is companies going, oh, well, we can't do anything for 6 or 12 months. So we'll hang out here and see what happens. Wrong, right? It's like, you need to be able to go, well, what other products, services could we pivot? Could we invent? Like FitStop, we've just launched FitStop at home. We developed that in 14 days, and that's an online offering through technology. And, we had over 1,000 members in the first 7 days for that, right? It's half the price point, but our cost base was also a lot lower as well. So that's a huge mistake that I'm seeing. People are not pivoting and they're not looking at how they can do business. The third thing is people are selling. Now, I've had this conversation with so many business owners, stop selling, stop ramming stuff down people's throat. People don't want to be sold to during this time. They're raw, they're vulnerable. They're worrying about how they're going to eat food and pay their mortgage. They don't need you to be ramming some 2-for-1 offer down their throat, right? It's like, add value, show you care, show compassion. And off the back of that, if you happen to generate business, fantastic. But don't be in this sales aggressive profiteering kind of approach with how you're doing business. Come from a place of adding value and a place of, well, hey, we're all in this together. How can I take my business that I've got and add a little bit of value to people? And, it might be half the price or might even be free, Example, I run a boardroom session every month for, I pick 10 business owners at the start of this year. Every month we get together in a boardroom. It's basically like I'm on their advisory board and, we go through their financial strategy, capital raising, sales, marketing. I hold them accountable to their action items. They come back in 30 days time and let me know what they've done, etc. That's completely free, for the next 3 months. I said, guys, don't even worry about it. Like, we're still going to do it, but it's free. Don't even worry about it. Let's move to online. I won't take any dividends or director fees for the next 6 months out of any of my companies, right? So it's about like not having that greed approach of trying to force sales through people, because it's just not, people are not, they don't have the appetite for it. So that's a big mistake that I'm seeing out there in the market.
I like when you say there, because it's not that you are completely shutting down and not selling. It's not selling in the same way that you've done before, right? It's the adaptation. So you're still providing value to people.
100%. Yeah.
So it's like, we still are a fiscal and financial company, but it's like you're not, as you're doing the same as what you were doing in January, or you're not going, as you said, you're not going aggressive, or you're not price gouging like people are trying to sell fitness equipment at 6 times the cost of what it
totally
would be.
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah, spot on, Kim. That's exactly what I'm saying, right? I'm saying like, people, of course, you're still going to do business. You've still got an enterprise to maintain. You've still got wages to pay. I'm not saying don't do business. What I'm saying there is be careful about how you do business. Don't be, rolling out sales copy everywhere and offers and trying to sell stuff for 8 times the amount that it would normally cost because you're trying to take advantage of this scenario, right? So, yeah, just provide value, continue to be legitimate in what you do. And, even from a content perspective, like, one of the big mistakes companies are making is that they're stopping their marketing, and I'm like, guys, crazy, because right now, cost per clicks, billboards, online, offline advertising is 40 to 50% cheaper. Media buying has never been this cheap ever in the last 20 years. So take advantage of that. You know what I mean? Take advantage of that and get your message out there and tell your audience and your customers what you are doing during this time. Marketing is very different to selling, right? Marketing, adding value, putting out content. Like, I've put out more content in the last 30 days than I have in the last 3 years, purely just to give some insight and add some value and help that person that's sitting there in their living room wondering what to do.
Yeah, and that's so true, especially on the marketing side, to get your message out there right now. So we partners with Facebook, obviously being a Facebook agency, and the stats that they show, there's 70% more people online because everyone's transitioning online to get their news and information. I mean, even for me, I couldn't turn my TV on if I wanted to because I don't have an antenna point in my house to try and get it. So for me, the only way that I get updates is I watch ScoMo's live stream when he goes on Facebook. That's about the only way I get my updates at the moment. So I go on there and I know that there's been about 40% of advertisers take their money off and they've turned off their ads because obviously they can't do things at the moment. So they are retreating rather than looking at what the opportunity is in the future. So the CPMs, which is the metric for online advertising, at least cost per 1,000 impressions, in some places, as you said, it's a quarter of what it was normally, which is really like what happened with Facebook when it first started. So if someone was advertising in 2007, 8, 9, 10, those sort of prices are what people are seeing at the moment. And to me, and I'm encouraging business owners, not saying to aggressively go and market yourself like crazy. Even if you spent $1 a day, you still be getting your message out there if you're promoting a video or content that you were doing, which most people should be able to afford if you have a business that's not too financially strong. So I highly recommend everyone, as like you've just said, it's like if you have the ability to put money towards marketing, like now, especially on social media, it has never been and will never be as cheap as it is right now because of the influx of supply that they have. And that's across every social platform and every online platform. I know for sure. I haven't looked at anything traditional media, but I know from the digital standpoint, it's ridiculous. So it's hugely important. And now I do have a question, because I know one of our ladies in our Mogul Mastermind, where you'll be talking in the middle of May, I put up a post today in our group, and I was interested in your thoughts on it. So she's thinking of selling a business at the moment. So she has a business which was a physical business. She basically brought people together for workshops and things like that. And she's like, cool, now she's also did business coaching, but now her business coaching for ladies who have like side hustles has kind of gone through the roof because everyone wants to focus on that. So my understanding is she's gone, well, I want to kind of focus more on this project and I want to sell my other. Is now a time where if you had a business and you were like, and you had two things going on, is now actually a good time to be looking at selling, to be identifying if you should sell based on your experience with like raising capital, selling and buying into businesses? Yeah. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, I mean, yeah, it's a good question. And I mean, the first reason I would ask is why. Why are you looking to sell your business? I've been involved in a number of transactions, Business Leaders Group, either for its clients or my own companies. We've raised over 10 million in capital over the last 5 years, right? So, for me, it's sitting here going, well, why does that lady want to sell the business? What are the assets in the business? Is the business valuable? And what's the cost of opportunity? Like, I don't think COVID has anything to do with selling a business in the slightest, right? Like, a business is an asset like any other asset, whether it's a public stock, a house, real estate, commercial, or a business. It's like, so that asset has an underlying value. But what I wouldn't do is sit here and fire sale an asset because, there's been a bit of a downturn from a COVID perspective, But I mean, hey, yeah, I think the decision lens should be looked through. Okay, what is the actual future of where your client wants to go? If she wants to go down mentoring, the females in their side hustle, and she wants to build an online platform and program around that, then fantastic, that's amazing. But, at the same time, that should be an like an independent thought rather than, oh, yeah, it's COVID's come quick. I've got to sell that. I've got to do this, right? To me, that sounds like a knee-jerk reaction. And then to the buyer coming in as well, like probably my advice there is, don't sell a business that's going to screw a buyer over just because you want to make some money or get out quick before it folds during this COVID period. So, I guess my question would be, would your client still want to sell the business in 12 months if we had no COVID, business was back to normal and she was running events and she was loving it? That answer would probably be no. So why would you try and fire sell it in a market like now?
Yeah, that's a great one. And she'll probably ask you a similar-ish question. I'm going to get her to watch this beforehand, but she'll probably have some Q&A for you when we come together as well.
Hey, really happy to help in that. And I mean, it always helps if I can understand a little bit more about the situation and revenues and valuations and all that kind of stuff. But my initial answer is, hey, don't sell because of COVID.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. I love that. And now I wanted to keep this short and sharp, and I really appreciate your time and jumping on to share some value with everyone that's listening or watching today. And I always like to ask this one question as we kind of wrap up our time together, which is, what's one question that I didn't ask you that I should have?
What's one question you didn't ask me that you should have? That is a great question. If I had to think off the top of my head, I would say, you probably should have asked me something to do with how do companies grow during or post this period.
Well, I'd love to know. Give us a couple of pointers here on what they should do.
So I think, first of all, this is something I'm really passionate about. I think any company right now who's in an okay to good position should be setting up, taking this time to look at their operational infrastructure, look at their technology, look at their systems, look at their processes, look at their product to market fit, and go, right, what have we got here? We've got a bit of time, a bit of headspace to think about this, and then how are we going to scale and go to that next level? Like, the amount of companies right now who are, increasing in efficiency, moving to online meetings, looking at whole departments and going, do we really need that? What do we even do that for? So the number one thing you need to be doing during and out of this period is going, hey, how do we get better at what we currently do? Second thing is, I'd be looking at, and I've already had a lot of these conversations, how do you set up an advisory board? How do you actually get people around you who have built, scaled and grown companies so that you can actually get help? The amount of founders, who don't have an advisory board set up or a business person on their team is scary, because they get this kind of, amazing growth, and then they kind of get to, a year or two in and go, oh shit, what now? And most of the time it falls over. So get an advisory board around you after you've sort of, tackled your operational efficiency and infrastructure, et cetera. And then the third kind of piece there is, look to what resources and fuel do you need to be able to get the growth, whether that's capital, whether that's a new market, whether that's another strategy. Like, I always say that the enemy of execution is business as usual. So take this time to think about what your business even is, where do you want to take it? And when you come out of this, how can you break that pattern of just going through the motions? And that might be a capital raise, that might be entering into a new market, a new product. But, if this has taught us anything, it should be, we don't know how long the market's going to be good, bad, up, down, sideways. And, we don't even know how long life is going to be in its current format. So, to have a crack when we come out of this and get ready to have a real crack and change the way you're thinking about your current business.
I love that. Some great insights for everyone there. So guys, if you're not already, make sure that you're looking at all those points that Richard's just shared. So, and Richard, if anyone's loved what they've heard today and they go, cool, obviously, like, number one, they can see you and find out more about you at the Mogul Mastermind for all our crew that's coming along there. But if they go, I've liked what this guy said and I want to see more about what he's up to and see some of this content he's doing, where's the best place for people to connect with you?
Yeah, mate, just either pop me a little note through the website, which is www.businessleaders.com. You can follow me on my Instagram handle as well, which is rich_bell_businessleaders, which I'm sure you'll give to everybody. And hey, I just want to let everyone know that I'm really looking forward to coming into the Mogul Mastermind and adding value. And, I've got a huge amount of respect to any business owner who's out there, fighting the good fight and doing their best during this time.
Yeah, and we appreciate it, mate. And we look forward to chatting to you more in May, and we'll chat to you then.
Yeah, great. Thanks so much.
Awesome. Cheers.